Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We got a set of triplexes here. So right now we're at the building that is, looks like 7704 through 7708. If you were to look straight up the middle of the little walking path between the two buildings, this is also the right side unit from that orientation, right side building. So around the, about halfway up the side here by the front doors, you've got two sets of cleanouts. They 90 towards each other, so it looks like we've got two branches of pipe here. Checking over the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We're going to introduce water to the line here kind of manually from the outside. And as you face these doors, we're dropping into the left side cleanout right now. We got some standing water here right as we drop in, a little bit of an offset joint too. We will take a second look at that on the way out when the line is drained. Camera's having a little bit of a time here jumping that thing for some reason. You know, I'm going to try and drop into this other cleanout. I can't tell what my camera's doing here. It almost feels like it's trying to flip over on itself. Okay, this one gives a little better shot in here, looks like. Bummer of these cleanouts is they are not going to let me run backwards, it doesn't look like. And we transition over to concrete pipe almost immediately. Are you seeing ABS pipe in the crawl space, Dan?
Yeah.
No, it's cast?
Not a thing.
Any pipe exposed?
Oh yeah.
What type of pipe material?
It's all cast.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so from the sounds of it, it sounds like mostly original piping other than some cleanouts out here. And we're starting, I think, to see why these were probably put in. You got roots at that pipe joint. Got some debris piling up in the flow line. Again, right now I'm leaving the line dry just because there's so many occupants in these places. It's a lot easier to get water running than it is to get them turned off. So we're going to leave it off right now. More roots at that joint. Line has the appearance of, I think, relatively recently being cleaned, because all the roots are about the same exact length, which is not generally speaking how roots grow. So we're going to locate those here in just a second. And I'll try and get some water shooting down line here to help clear some of that debris out of the line. Mostly so we can get an appraisal of slope and grade to see if this is something that could be done trenchlessly. Alright, we pick up a tie-in right here. Put a big gush of water down the line here. Alright. Just dumped about 5 gallons of water down the line between the two cleanouts there. That tie-in though does appear to be, that looks full diameter. The significance of a large diameter tie-in is that's much more indicative of a party line. You know, and if these two units tie together somehow, that wouldn't be the most absurd thing to see, although I do generally recommend you still look into it. See if there's any issues with that. Usually when it comes to these places, if it's a single property owner, kind of it's not as big of a problem, especially when they're attached units like this, but it's something I always recommend you run past the city. Alright, I think there's our main there. About 74 feet out. I just walked up and down the street here, both in front of the buildings, like if you were to go walking from the walking path between the two buildings out to the street. So up and down Southeast Herald, as well as up and down 77th. I haven't picked up an obvious locate signal yet, so I'm going to pull back in here a little bit. See if I can catch things closer in. Alright, still having some trouble locating the camera head. We're going to keep pulling in here. Still doing the same thing, walking up and down Herald and 77th. I'm not picking up any kind of signal here. My guess is a depth issue. The line that actually starts out quite deep, and we're right now in a pretty hard vertical dive. What I figured this thing was probably going to do is head towards Southeast Herald and then potentially pick up the tie-in there for the other units. So I'm hoping here, we just came up a very big vertical drop there. I'm hoping we can catch a signal here. Alright, finally got it. It is kind of doing what I was thinking there. We're heading out towards Southeast Herald. We're sitting just a few feet past the, or back from the curb and kind of the grass curb strip. Very near where a parking sign is at. With how hard this line dives, it's a hard one when I get into this spot here to get really good locates. The line's running at a little bit of an angle, and it looks like as it approaches the street, it turns to straighten out and then shoot across the curb. I'll see if I can even get this locate here or not. Yeah, once I get to this point here, the signal just disappears. It's due to depth. We were already there where my locate was coming in at the top of the drop. My locates there were consistently ranging from about 6'9", more so hovered in the 7'2" category. So when you count for that hard dive there, line's getting way down there by the time it's crossing the curb. I just can't locate exactly where it crossed the curb, but you can kind of visually see how it's doing it. Runs at an angle here and then dives. Anyhow, that's about the best I can do there. Is that, you know, we're sitting probably about 3 feet or so back, pretty near the sidewalk edge, but in the grass planter strip area. You'll see a pink flag there. And then right here is where we pick up a tie-in. That would appear to be, my assumption is that's probably from the adjacent unit, which we should see that as we make our way out from it. We should come tying into that same spot. All right, right now I put a flag down right on the edge of the sidewalk. My locate, as you can see, I tried to park my camera right in front of it to get as close to a good locate on that as possible. The Y connection may be partially under the sidewalk. It's so close to that edge, it's a hard one. But you'll see a pink flag there. And what I'll do is I'm taking some photos. I'm going to go over the drawing and kind of overlay some drawings on there with my pen. About 5 foot 10 inches deep is what I was getting there on the house side sidewalk edge, or the house side of the sidewalk. You got a few joints here that look like they are open, showing some level of something seeping through there, which would not surprise me one bit. There's separated joints and root intrusions in the line. Okay, and here, getting around 4 foot 10 inches, we're sitting straight out from the gas meters. These spots like this, you've got a level of standing water, although it's relatively minor. If you were to do something like a epoxy liner, for instance, you would displace most of that water. You know, when it comes to updating these, I always recommend looking at multiple different repair processes to see which makes the most sense. The liner is obviously a convenient one often because of not having to dig. There's some added benefit too in having less pipe joints for things to punch through because they do overlap all these old joints. Help to bolster the lineup. And all said and done, you would by and large have a line that drains off entirely at that point. By the time you put, because the thickness of the liner, it's going to displace most of the water you're even seeing here, most of which is hovering in the 1/16 to 1/4 inch realm. Pretty minor stuff. All right, about 4 foot 4 inches deep here. And because of the condition of the line, the root intrusions, and most of the joints in this line show a level of separation or exposure to the ground. And when you start getting settling like this, right now my camera, and I'll try and send a version of the video where the camera's flipped over. When you get standing water like this, that is generally speaking signs of hydro erosion. When you see settling in concrete pipe, it often is you get a different indication versus older pipe materials that have settled. It is often with older lines because the joints are exposed to the ground. They start to suck dirt through them and erode the support out from underneath the sewer line. Right, now I'm having a heck of a time trying to get back through here. Anyway, you've got a half decent offset joint there right as you drop into this thing. Where I'm sitting at right now, I'm getting a little deeper depth, and I think the way my camera is articulated in there is throwing the locate off a little bit. I'm getting around 4 foot 10 inches, but I think it's because the way that joint is torquing my camera. And you've got standing water here, which most likely is the result of the offset creating a dam in the pipe. It's hard to say with certainty until that offset's gone. And from what I can tell here, you got two different branches of pipe that tie together in a very short span of pipe. So clean out here, clean out there. And they both 90 directly towards each other. So right in the middle, they come together and then kind of swing away from them. My locate here is coming in maybe a foot or so away from the cleanouts. And then you can see my pink flags, they travel out to Southeast Herald, turn around the corner, and then shortly thereafter the line makes that 45 right after that hard dive. That's where it crossed the curb over there, and just out of sight over here around that corner is where that other flag is at, up against the house side of the sidewalk edge. That's about where the tie-in comes in there, which I think is for the other building. Because of the condition of the line here, I am recommending a full update. Essentially from right here at the clean out access all the way to the main. I wish these clean outs would let me go backwards to see the pipe between here and the house. But if you're going to be especially doing some kind of dig style project, and the offset joint at the start here will require digging, you've got about it's a solid 1 inch offset. So it completely submerges my camera head. And that is something I would like to see repaired too. That's something that will require digging to regrade. The last place you want an offset is right outside of a building. If a blockage happens there, you don't have a lot of leeway to build head pressure, versus at that offset we're 50 feet from the home, you have a lot more chance for head pressure to push on things and break stuff loose and get it over the edge. And you're between about 4 feet, and I would wager by the time you're crossing the curb, when you account for that hard dive, you're probably in the 9.5, 10 foot deep realm, I would imagine. After any repairs are done, make sure a rescope is performed to check the work. This is one of those where you could do a good old-fashioned dig, potentially pipe burst, or do a combo of digging to correct the offset and potentially shoot a liner into everything else. But make sure you rescope afterwards to check the work.